Hey guys, welcome to Crafts Go Bloom. My name is Krista and today we are going to be making this jumbo watermelon pattern. This is one that I made in the traditional colors with the rind on top obviously, but I also made this one. Looks a little more like a smile, and I used a sparkle yarn for these two and they're kind of neon as well. And I did a lot of detail in the face on this one. So I will be showing you how to make this pattern in this video. Let's get to it. And the two watermelons that I just showed you were made in a bulky weight 6 Bernat blanket yarn. And today we're going to be making the exact same pattern but in a worsted weight big twist value yarn. And it is totally okay to switch up a pattern like this. As long as you are changing your hook size. So if you want to make the Bernat blanket yarn jumbo pillow, I made that with a size 6 crochet hook, and today I'm going to be working with a 3.75, and I have the colors, and this is big twist value, in the color magenta, light green, and varsity green. So let's get started with the pink color. Some other items you're going to want are a stitch marker, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, some safety eyes, and some stuffing. I have the stuffing off camera because it's a huge bag and it makes a lot of noise. To get started today, we're going to use a magic ring. And to make a magic ring, I wrap the yarn around 3 fingers and pinch it like this. Go across the back of my hand and grab it with my pinky. And I do the same thing with bulky yarn or worsted weight 4. And then we're going to go under that first loop, grab the second loop, twist, and pull the yarn through. And the pattern that we're doing today is going to be linked down below if you would like a PDF. It's in my Etsy shop. So for round 1, we're going to start with color A, and we're going to do 8 single crochets into a magic ring. And to single crochet into a magic ring, you're just going to insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. We're just going to pretend that the magic ring is just like any other stitch that we would be working into. That's 8. And then we'll just pull that tail. We want to pull it tight to close that up. For round 2, we're going to increase in every stitch, and that means that in every one of the stitches from the previous round, we are going to make 2 single crochets. So we've got 1 and 2 in the same stitch, 3, 4, keep going until you've got 16 single crochets, and I'll meet you when I'm done. Now that I'm back finished with round 2, I realized I forgot to turn on one of my lights, so if you notice a lighting change, that's all that is. Now for round 3, we're going to do an increase and then 1 single crochet, and we're going to repeat that pattern. So we have 1, 2, 3 in the next stitch, and then we're going to do it again. 4 and 5 go into the same stitch, and then 6. Keep repeating until you have 24 stitches in this round. That was it for round 3. Let's move on to round 4. And we're going to do an increase and then 2 single crochets 8 times for a total of 32 stitches. We have the first 2 stitches, first 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and then 2 stitches where we just do 1 single crochet in each of them. So we have 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 together, and then 7 and 8 on their own. Keep going until you have a total of 32 stitches in this round. Alright, now I'm back for round 5. And we're going to do an increase and then 3 single crochets 8 times for a total of 40 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, together, and then 3, move that stitch marker out of the way, 4, and 5. So repeat that 8 times until you have 40 stitches total. For round 6, we're going to do an increase, 1, 2, and then we're going to do 4 stitches, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to do that pattern 8 times for a total of 48 stitches, and I think you're probably starting to see the pattern that we're making here. For round 7, we're going to do an increase and then 5 single crochets 8 times for a total of 56 stitches. As you're going along, if your pattern is starting to curve around, that's okay. In the end, we're going to be folding it in half so that it's nice and flat. Now for round 8, we're going to increase and then do 6 single crochets and do that 8 times for a total of 64 stitches. For round 9, we're going to increase and then do 7 single crochets 8 times for a total of 72 stitches. For round 10, we're going to increase and then do 8 single crochets 8 times for a total of 80 stitches. Up next, for round 11, we're going to increase and then do 9 single crochets 8 times for a total of 88 stitches. I'm back and done with round 11. For round 12, we're going to do an increase in the first stitch and then 10 single crochets. And we're going to repeat that pattern 8 times for a total of 96 stitches in round 12. I finished round 12, and for round 13, we're going to increase and then do 11 single crochets. We'll do that 8 times for a total of 104 stitches. And this is going to be our last round using the pink yarn. I am done with round 13, which was the last round in the pink or red, whatever color it is that you chose for the center. And for round 14, we're going to switch to color B, the second color that you chose. It could be white. I'm using a light green right now. And we're going to back up 1 stitch so that we can switch colors. When I switch colors, I pull up a loop as if I'm going to do another single crochet. And then I get my second color ready and pull through the second color. Tighten everything down. And then I'm going to crochet over top of these for a little while. So for round 14, once you have switched to color B, we're going to increase and then do 12 single crochets 8 times for a total of 112 stitches. So let's see what it looks like to single crochet over top of these. You're going to pull them both tails to the front, both colors, and we're just going to go into our next stitch, pull up our loop like usual, and leave these there so they get crocheted inside of what we're doing, and we don't have any tails that we need to weave in at the end. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to continue on with 12 single crochets after that increase, and you'll have a total of 112 stitches at the end. I finished round 14, and we're really starting to see those watermelon colors come through. For round 15, we're going to stay with color B, increase, and then 13 single crochets 8 times, and we'll have 120 stitches total. I will see you back here when I'm done with round 15. For round 16, we're going to be switching to color C. And for me, that is that varsity green color I showed you earlier. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull out that last stitch, back up just a little bit on this one, that out. So we're going to go into our last stitch to do the last single crochet from round 15 and switch colors. Now for round 16, we're going to increase and then do 14 single crochets 8 times for a total of 128 stitches. So we're going to do 1, 2 together and then continue on for 14 single crochets. And you guys, we are getting near the end. We only have one more round after this, and then we're going to put the details in the face and finish it off. Up next, it's time for round 17. We're going to increase, and you guessed it, 15 single crochets 8 times for a total of 136 stitches. I finished round 17. I'm just going to pull my working yarn quite a bit so I don't pull any stitches out, and we're going to get to work on making the face. So we're going to fold this in half. Now, depending on what yarn you used, how tight your tension is, and what size hook you used, you may have this curve up here, or you may have a completely straight line. Either one is fine. It really just depends on each person and how they make this. You do not have to add a face to this if you don't want, but if you do add a face, you have the option of having it go either direction, whichever way you want your watermelon slice to go. So I'm going to do mine this direction again. We're going to place our eyes between rounds 6 and 7. I've got safety eyes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to be using 2 sizes of safety eyes today. One size for the actual eyes, and then I'm going to use another size for the seeds. There we go. I think those are looking good. And I'm going to use a little bit of yarn to make the smile as well. For my mouth, I'm going to be using the Joann worsted weight value yarn in the color Wine. I've added the backs to my safety eyes, and now I'm just going to knot the yarn that I used for the mouth, and I want to loosely tie this first knot so that we don't distort the face on the front, and then very tightly tie our second knot, and I always tie 3 or 4, and then we can just put the tails on the inside, and we'll hide that when we go to close it up. Next, I'm going to get the smaller sized eyes to add some seeds. I'm happy with the placement of the smaller safety eyes as seeds, so I'm going to get the backings on those. And the placements of the seeds are really up to you. In the larger watermelon, I made them sort of like a triangle in a cheek. And for this one, I decided to place them all in a line. They're all in between the same rounds to follow the shape of the watermelon rind. If you've never used safety eyes before, you place them through the fabric that you've made, and on the backs they have these little ridges, and we're going to use this rubber backing to slide down over that ridge and snap. And then they're secure. Do it again, and that'll stay. Now for our final round, we're going to take that stitch marker out, tighten our working yarn back up, and we're going to be going into stitch number 135 and stitch number 1 and joining them together. So we're just going to go into the next stitch, and then we're going to find the previous stitch. So we are coming out of this one, so we're going to go into the one right before that, and we're going to slip stitch. We're going to continue on doing the exact same thing, making sure each time that we're always grabbing that next stitch. And we want to line them up front and back, or back and front. So we're going to go through the third set of stitches this time, making sure that we never skip one on the back or the front because we don't want a hole in the end of the project. We want this to close it up and hold in all of our stuffing at the end. And we're going to keep going until we reach the other side, and that will give us 68 slip stitches. Along the way, you need to stop and start stuffing it whenever you feel like you've got enough stitches done that you can hold the stuffing in and it won't fall out, but you can still get your hand inside to finish the stuffing. So I'm going to get part way across and show you how the stuffing goes. Okay, I've got it about 3/4 of the way slip stitched, and I have been stuffing as I'm going along, and I think it's about half full, a little over half full. And you can see we're starting to get out of that flat shape and get a fun plushy shape to it. I'm going to keep going, stuffing, and I will meet you back when I have finished all of the slip stitches. I am coming up on the last couple of slip stitches here. Looks like I've got 2 more. 1. And let's find that last one. There's that last one. Now when I get to the very end like that, I'm just going to chain 1, and then I'm going to cut a long tail and we're going to weave it in. So go ahead and pull that through, pull that tight, and grab your tapestry needle. And we're going to sew right back down this green. Keep weaving that end in as far as you can, and then I'll cut off the tail when I get there. Alright, I've woven over to where I want to stop. I'm going to cut that end off, and we have a completed amigurumi. And this is my jumbo watermelon pattern in a worsted weight 4. And don't forget, this is what it looks like if you want to make it in a Bernat blanket yarn, or some of the Parfait Chunky would make this even bigger. You can see this next to my hand. It really is a small throw pillow, where in the worsted weight you get a handheld toy. So I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial with me today. I would really appreciate it if you would hit that like button and subscribe. And if you'd like to keep hanging out, come find me on Instagram. I'm posting tons of behind the scenes videos and pictures. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.